Ever pissed me off, Get on air. Look, Matt did this. Welcome to the post game. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, super producer Matt Leck, super producer David Slavic, head theoretician David Grishcom, and my old paisan running buddy Matt Binder.
Oh, David Matt Binder. I could go by that from now on.
David Matt Binder. You would be like a country music star or a serial killer.
Hi, I'm David Matt Binder.
David Matt Binder. I do a little thing called public shaming blog. I'm exposing the MRAs. Thank you, DJ Danarchy. Thank you, Chris Lapaco, for the hot tracks. Let's go straight to the phones. I bet you miss taking phone calls because you don't do live shows.
Right, I do not. No.
All right, we will start with
maybe something I can do if enough people signed up for the Patreon.
A 478 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from? 478. You there?
I see the phone system is still in the great shape it was when I left.
This is not improved. 478. You know what? They were waiting for a while. Please just call back. 612. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Michael.
Yes.
Hey, it's the D-man, Dennis Miller.
Okay. You got anything, D-man?
I was supposed to be on Daddy Bill O'Reilly's podcast tonight, so this is a bigger step down than the resignation of Charles de Gaulle wearing platform shoes.
You know what I appreciate about you now, D-man? First of all, fuck you. Rising talent beats ancient sex offender anytime. And second, though, the way that you're sort of slowly leading up to your punchlines leads me to believe that you've grown some humility in your own lack of comedic prowess, which I appreciate. Is that true?
Well, there is a bit of a delay on the phone here. It was like being a college stoner excited to see Bernie at a rally, and they bring out Hillary to introduce Joe Scarborough's country band. Bop, 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 bop.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I have trouble believing you're Dennis Miller because you're significantly funnier.
Well, I waited online for so long, I thought Peter Dow slipped something into my mangria, and John Podesta packed me into a crate of homemade risotto to send me to his buddy David Cameron, and they signed me up for NHS. Bop, bop, bop.
Wait a second. Did you just do a Pizzagate meets NHS joke?
And there was a Peter Dow reference.
Oh, Peter Dow's always in there. Did I tell you I'll tell you the story of how he blocked me. Hey, man, that was funny.
Well, with all the recent news, I haven't seen this much interest in every Kim Jong-un-sized detail of people's personal lives since Ken Starr in the 1990s. So I've been thinking of starting my own platform called Guy's Tome or Visage Volume.
All right, Dennis. Please call back in again when Bill can't make it if he's incapacitated. Thank you. You're calling from a 575 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from? Right. Don't have your computer on. 575.
Ooh.
We're on a really long delay,
man.
Dude.
The show is just starting in some parts of the country.
I know. 575. I guess we'll wait for a second for him to be there. I'm assuming it's a guy because I do feel like that lack of situational awareness is more of a dude thing. So I just gotta fucking listen.
Also, because they're calling into a politics show. It's a guy.
TMBS is a lot more balanced
than the majority report.
It's a bit more.
Yeah,
575. You there?
Hello.
Yo.
Hello?
Hello, you're here. Are you there? 575. Hello? All right, I don't know what's going on with that. You're calling from a 478 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from? Oh, man, this is brutal. 478. Are you there? All right,
I
guys.
don't miss the phone systems.
Yeah.
It's weird. You have bad karma because it's been not nearly as bad for a very long time. All right, the lines that we hung up on those. Well, let's just start with a clean slate.
Now we know that the tech issues that the majority report had from 2011 to 2015 really were all because of me.
They were literally all because of you. All right, let's try this 575 one more time.
Are you there?
575, are you there?
Okay. I don't miss the phone system. Yeah. It's weird.
All right. You gotta be not listening to the show. And I'll try 478 one more time, and then we're gonna take a break. 478, are you there? 478? Are you there?
All right, listen.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Don't
All right.
listen to the show. Call in. By the time you get this, we'll be able to take calls in about 20, 30 minutes.
That's right. Okay, guys. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to play our first game. Can we get some music for this, Matt? I don't know. What do you think would be a good bed music for what would our...
I like that.
Yes. This is we have made some changes in our careers. We've chosen to sell out, or we've had some type of bizarre crisis in our 50s. And we have to pick a lane. We have to decide what type of conservative are we each going to be. And I am going to start. Matt, are you ready for this? Because I do want to start to my left. Matt Leck, you have become a right-wing reactionary. What kind? What's your angle? Is it the free and open exchange of ideas? Is it the women are bitches? Is it I was a liberal, but then I saw a Muslim eating a falafel and it freaked me out? What is the angle?
I'm going to be a national debt conspirator. We were talking about this earlier.
Yes.
My angle would be that not only is the national debt as bad as the digits make it look, but it's actually worse than we're admitting. And we're actually spending it in all sorts of these places, but just not accounting properly. So it's going to be like a missile gap, but it's like a debt being worse than people think.
Now, so I get the angle, but what is is this the Alex Jones? Is it like the real debt? Is it like the Nicolas Cage style? Like, is the real debt in a secret constitution somewhere? I think we might need slightly more upbeat music.
Are you one of those suit types?
Is this a suit? Are you trying to go to like, hey kids, the debt's a big deal?
Yeah.
Or are you just like, it's a debt, it's a black, like what are we doing here?
Yeah, I guess I'd probably go with a more Glenn Beck style approach because I do
A lot of weeping.
Well, I really like Glenn Beck's sets. The fake White House is awesome, the fake Oval Office, and I would do it from that sort of angle. Like, yeah, I'm uncovering the submerged history that proves that we're doing the right thing all along. Chalkboards, yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. All right, David Grisham, you've become a conservative. You're thinking basically, let's be real here. It's time to make some fucking money. What's your angle?
I feel like
maybe the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack. Maybe Axel F. I think that would work. Let's see how the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack works, and then David, we'll get to you in a second. I have my own. It's interesting because I'm running this against my own conceptions of everybody. So I actually do see Matt as a debt hysteric. That makes total sense to me. I have a sort of... Oh, this is perfect. I have a kind of sense of David as maybe in the Rubin lane, but
I just looking at him. I'm seeing Dave Rubin.
Well, that's a little insulting. I don't see David Rubin. But here's the thing. Grisham is just too intelligent to pretend to be that stupid. He's not a good enough actor. So what is your angle, David Grisham?
I think I would take most of my inspiration from David Horowitz.
Wow, that's a deep cut. You're going to need to explain who that is.
David Horowitz is actually a pretty incredible... he's terrible, but he used to be...
By the way, this is the perfect music for this game and needs to be on repeat, I think.
David Horowitz used to be, a real left-winger. He used to organize with the Black Panthers, and he was one of those people who lost his faith and then thought he found his reason. He writes a lot of really incredible conspiracy theories about the alliance between like radical Islam and the left. One of my favorite things is he's a Jewish guy, but he's like really worried about Easter.
Right.
He writes a lot of essays about how we just like don't celebrate Easter anymore.
Easter's not going to be around anymore. I mean, to be fair, he clearly was really deeply abused as a child. He has to have been.
Oh, I mean,
He has some type of fucked up Stalinist upbringing. I saw him when he came to Bates. That was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life, dude.
Well,
it was like if you had like a neurotic, nebbish uncle fused with a number 2 James Bond villain.
If.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
But I think what I would, and I'd really like to, make those kind of theories, and I'd also like to do what he does a lot, which is complain about how I have no friends anymore because I've left the left, and how difficult it is to be a lonely guy because no one wants to talk to me anymore about Easter.
All right. Now, moment of truth here. Matt Binder, you have become a member of the right. Now, I have a question. Now, are you going direct apostate? Are you going from I used to expose MRAs, but now I realize that they're right because, I had a divorce. Like what? Or are we going just, hey, I'm the hipster. I'm the skateboarding right-wing guy.
Look, I have a very special connection to a certain guy. So I think I'm going to have to go the gorilla mindset route and just do that.
So basically, you're just literally going to steal Mike Cernovich's identity.
I'm just going to become Mike.
You're just
Cernovich.
How are you going to go about stealing his identity, though? You're going to need to start taking steroids, dude. He's pretty yoked.
First off, I hook up with Laura Loomer, and I take it from there.
All right, you gotta get. And by the way, you need to stop being so dismissive of that self-help shit.
Well, Jordan Peterson is bullshit. You gotta read the gorilla mindset.
Yeah. All right. I guess the moment of truth for me now comes. Guys, what are your guesses for me? What kind of right-winger would I be? I have a very clear model in mind, but I'm curious what you guys think. What would be my angle?
I'm going Alex Jones. I can see the hustler in you.
Fair enough. Okay, the hustler in me, Alex Jones.
I need a second here.
I'm not that hyper, though. That's the problem. I have a much more laid-back delivery.
I don't know. I
also have a certain sense of shame.
I'm trying to think of who on the right reminds me of you, and it's a tough.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
I don't know. That's because all the ones I would say that come to mind wouldn't be complimentary.
Matt Binder.
Really trying to. I'm gonna go with. You're running a media empire here.
Right.
So Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon. So I'm wow, I really need to utterly wreck myself physically. Utterly.
I mean, I don't know if you still are, but I remember you were quite the party guy back when, Well,
I never dissolved a hooker in acid, though.
Yeah.
Yep. Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking Boris Epstein.
Boris Epstein? Why? I don't even. It is.
That's
it
an
is
insult.
it is incredibly insulting, but I don't even understand the thought process.
I could imagine you doing for that I-24 or whatever, what Boris does for Sinclair Networks.
But what about the trouble of me being able to read a teleprompter and looking at camera and having a little bit of charisma in my delivery?
That's
I mean,
the thing
Jesus
is,
Christ.
I think Boris is I got to do this, and then I go do better things, and I feel like that's.
Oh, you
where
mean
come in.
So you're talking about the phone it in angle?
Yes, exactly.
I actually buy that.
I'm gonna go with Grover Norquist.
No, he's too humorless. No, guys, there's an obvious answer here. And my answer, what I would do is, and let me begin by asking.
Just start taking the right-wing Mandela thing as a real deal. It's the real thing.
We're going to get to that in a second, but let me just ask a question. I can't say good morning anymore? That's sexist? No, I'm not. I was treated to look at everybody regardless of their skin color. That's just a sincere question. Dude, I would totally Tucker Carlson it. Are you fucking kidding me?
I feel like that up talk would hurt your vocal cords.
That's fine. You could put me in an
uppity.
I could put me in a bow tie, and I could play that role, buddy. I'm not quite that soft, but I could do it.
I don't know, man.
I would love to ask sophist questions. That's my angle.
I can't picture you caring about your whiteness that much.
That would be a really heavy stretch. I would have to focus on a different angle. It'd have to be I don't know, but I think Tucker. Or it would just be we all just are ourselves, but we're right wing. In which case, this show had already been written up by the New York Times, and we'd be syndicated on Vice. All right, I'm going to try the phone calls.
Lou Dobbs. That's Michael. Lou Dobbs.
Why Lou Dobbs?
Just picking the most random name I could think of.
Is he even still on air?
Yeah, he's on Fox Business. He has his own show, and he is like just not even like in the realm of like Fox News pretending or trying to act like they're just like, I just like Trump a lot. He's like full blown, oh, Trump, let me lick your toes.
He uses Trump speak. Like he'll say like drain the swamp, but he does it in a very newsman type way that like Hannity can't really even replicate.
Well, because Hannity's really talentless.
They're gonna drain the swamp, and you can imagine him.
They're
like,
planning on draining the swamp.
Yeah.
Actually, Matt, I have a question for you. Do I phone in my Majority Report co-hosting duties as much as Boris Epstein does his Sinclair bits?
No, just some of the callers.
Listen, the Trump
You
regime,
motherfucker.
the Trump administration. That's
Yeah, the guy. He literally is just like he's
The
like
Trump
Donald Trump is going to drain the swamp, and why is he going to drain the swamp? Because it's very bad. Benjamin Netanyahu did the same thing with the swamp in Israel, and also the Russia stories are stupid. Here he is this week with Kim Jong Un. They're going to negotiate. Thank you for the tax cut. And that's Boris Epstein from Sinclair Broadcasting. All right,
You're speaking too fluently.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I don't have the patience to be as slow as him.
Yeah, he loses his breath more too.
Yeah, well, I am slightly fitter than Boris Epstein, you fucking morons.
Yeah, I
You're
suppose.
calling from a 575. What'd you say?
I said, I suppose.
You're calling from a 575 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
The Russia stories are stupid.
All right, dude, I'm sorry. You're banned for the night.
Someone is doing this on purpose.
Yeah, they're definitely doing that on purpose. 478. Who are you? Where are you calling from? Nope. Yeah, it's actually this is weird. All right, 330. Are you actually there?
330.
Maybe something is going on.
Yeah, the phone system might be down.
Phone system might be down, guys. I'll call back in.
Of course, the day I come.
That's actually really weird, Matt. There has
It
not
seems
been
like that
any
same
problems
problem where they just can't hear us.
where they just can't hear us. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, let's get to some
Yeah,
questions
let's-
from the Discord.
Oh, okay. let's do
First
that.
question is Matt Binder. This is from Joanna. Have your politics evolved since you had a child? And this is from Dissident Peasant. Matt Binder, what's your favorite brand of flavor/energy drink?
Let's go with the more serious question first. I don't have a favorite brand of energy drink. I guess whatever's on sale at the time. Let's put it that way. And now my politics. Yeah, I guess it has a little. I wouldn't say it changed, but it hits closer to home. Like when literally the Parkland school shooting, that literally happened the same week where Ezra, my 2.5-year-old son, started these 2-day-a-week classes at a school. His first time going to school.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like, something you think about differently. It's not like before that I was pro-gun, but this time around I'm definitely like, it hits a little bit closer to home. But yeah, I wouldn't say my politics changed, but certain issues that I would advocate for before and policies I believed in before, I would say it's a bit more personal now.
Yeah. And now to the frivolous Monster Energy drink.
Oh, I already covered that.
You already covered it.
You just weren't
I
paying
missed that.
attention, I guess.
I wasn't paying. I was going to. I got a message. I was trying to see what's going on with the phones. This actually. Okay. Apparently, guys, can you look this up? There was another bombing in Austin during the show.
During the show?
Yeah, I need you to look that up. This is from Bryce, and he is questioning a lack of media attention on that story. Matt, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the media has been terrible on it. It's unbelievable that, listen, I can understand, there's a lot going on in the world now. I could understand if the media was busy covering.
Sorry, take that down. Yeah.
Busy covering, I don't know, the war in Yemen or something of that nature,
right.
and that's why they couldn't cover something like that. But we're wasting time on just bullshit in the media right now. The media is basically now covering just whatever's happening within the Trump administration. If any current or former Trump associate decides to come out and say, I'm going to just go insane on television, they'll stop what they're doing and give that guy unlimited airtime to just rant and rave and say whatever he pleases.
Right.
There's no check to see even if this guy, they just put him on air. No check to see if this is like a coordinated effort with Trump to like just like fuck around on air. And it's just imagine if you were able to just get immediate airtime like that. You would 100 things you could cover.
Any of us could if we were pro-Trump mouthpieces. I think that, I guess I have some understanding. It's very clear that with a lot of cases like this, particularly actually in things like mass shootings, the recommendation is don't give these stories and the shooters attention. And there is a literature behind that. Now, that said, where we're at in this country and what that story is, the fact that that has not received attention is grotesque.
But we don't treat everything like that.
No, of course not.
Because school shooters get all the attention.
Right.
We cover them nonstop.
Well, actually, this last
But we don't
school
cover
shooting-
everything about him, right? Like
No,
the Cruz guy had swastikas carved into his gun and was a Trump supporter, and we don't hear much about those parts.
Right. But they cover the school shooting, and they say this kid's name over and over again. They'll cover terrorist attacks, no matter how small or even if they fail and no one even gets hurt. They'll cover it as if it's the biggest thing in the world. Yet, there's plenty to tie it to, too. It's not like this is a boring media story. There's literally a famous figure who is known for doing this, the fucking Unabomber.
Right.
Like, this is a story made for the media.
I would never compare the pig who's doing this with the Unabomber. But no, I agree. I mean, I think the lack of attention by the media and the lack of comments from, obviously top, frontline politicians is quite obvious.
And listen, if the bombs in these packages were going off and, it was just property damage and no one was getting hurt, then I could see this being a story that is just local, regional news. The people have died.
No, this is a urgent. Have you guys looked that up? Has there been another? Give us an update.
There was two. There was one at a FedEx in San Antonio.
That was earlier.
That was earlier today.
Then the subsequent one is at a Goodwill in Austin.
But this one
Might
was
be
an
not.
incendiary device, so it wasn't a package bomb.
So it might be.
So it might
potentially
not
different.
be related. But it's worrying about the bombing is I'm from Austin, so it's like everyone at home obviously is freaked out. And what's difficult about it is everyone is worried whenever you see a package on your front doorstep now, and a lot of people are calling in tips, which is sort of flooding the lines. And of course, it's difficult for them because they don't want to say, don't call us if anything seems suspicious. But the person who's doing this has a lot of different skill and has been able to build a lot of different bombs so far, which is something that's also very.
Right. And I don't know if this has been debunked, but there is apparently I was reading on the way here actually a Reddit user going by the name Austin Bomber or some shit like that. And he's claiming he's responsible for this and that he's just wants to watch the world burn and is just bored and he's just picking people randomly to do this to.
I would be really.
It sounds like bullshit, but it was being picked up a little bit. And so, just who knows,
Question. This is from Boxian. I guess for me, despite the fact that Tillerson was a bad Secretary of State, why haven't Pompeo and Haspel incurred more criticism and worry? Pompeo seems to be even more of an intense ideologue, and Haspel has CIA loyalty as well as a history of criminality. Tillerson seems inarguably better for the soul of the country, though he might not have been a very effective Secretary of State. Well, I mean, Derek Davis and I covered this last week, and I think it's very important to not for a second forget who Rex Tillerson was and is, the head of Exxon and someone who actually provided over the destruction of the State Department and in many ways a very destructive foreign policy. No doubt Pompeo is significantly worse. Haspel is significantly worse. I think people are drained. I think people are exhausted. And I think people are not thinking about the globe. I think that's the simple part of the answer. And I also think, again, the Obama administration chose to quote-unquote turn the page, and therefore people who should be in prison or at the very least should be drummed out of public life are in a position to run a paramilitary global organization which engages in a lot of crimes and may have personally participated in torture themselves can rise to that position. And it's disgusting.
It really does bother me actually how people don't see the line that could be drawn from the Obama administration to what brought us to this point. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, I'm not blaming the first black president for Trump's terribleness, but there are things that...
Well, that's good of you.
That's the thing you hear from the resistance liberals on Twitter or whatever.
When we were in the break, you said, I blame the first
First
black president.
for everything.
You know what I do? I think about all the things that Trump is doing. And I
But-
think to myself, what about the first black president?
That's me. No,
me.
but
Why didn't Obama think about
but
this
all these things could
before
be-
it happens?
just all the lines that could be drawn to what got us here and what they're doing now. It just all comes from, and it goes before that too, the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, but everyone has played a part. They each have their own role that they should be given the credit for, because we don't want them to get away and just, we all think that this is all just Donald Trump's doing. Because actually, that gives way too much. Donald Trump's not that smart. He couldn't do any of this shit if the system wasn't already in place for him to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really takes a lot to innovate global spying and drone programs. Let's see. Oh, okay, one more. Let's keep flipping it up. For Matt, what type of kids shows are you allowing your son to watch? We all know Sam is letting Saul watch neoliberal Paw Patrol.
He does. Is Paw Patrol Neil? I
Dude, I don't know.
I honestly have
I
never
haven't
looked at any.
I'm not trying to be like fucking Boris
Right.
Johnson or whatever the fuck and have kids.
Ezra was big into Wildcrats for a bit, and now he's big into the new Cat in the Hat show that's on PBS, and he's really into Lion Guard on Disney Channel, which is the new Lion King series. Those are the big ones right now. That's what he's. And Spirit, that show on Netflix about the CGI show about the horse.
Oh, that's a
Those
very
are the
good show.
Yeah, those are the shows he's into.
That's
Yeah.
a good show. Ezra will get a lot
And
of
Game of Thrones.
Ezra will
He's big into
you
that.
show your son Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he likes period pieces.
He like the infamous callback where Matt Binder. That was. I'm going to tell people. The
That was
story.
off air. Yeah,
That was incredible. So this was off air. So I'm not, and actually even Game of Thrones, I've honestly fallen off of. Like I lost patience.
the funny
with it.
thing is, I'm the huge Game of Thrones guy now.
Right.
Yeah.
But this was the first thing in that universe where like I was ahead of. I couldn't believe it. I was watching Game of Thrones. I was like,
I wasn't
Matt,
into
like,
it yet,
what do you
no.
think of Game of Thrones, man? And he's just like, oh, I'm not really watching it. And I was like, why? Like, this is right up your alley. Like, what the hell? And he goes, I'm just not interested in historical fiction.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
And so Sam and I were like,
I've got to correct the record here.
Let me finish the funniness before you do. You're like, I did not say that. And Sam and I were just like, well, dude, like when Lincoln comes in and he hooks up with the dragon people, it gets a lot more interesting.
Right,
yeah.
But I specifically used the term period piece, okay? So let's get it correct if we're going to make fun of it.
No,
All right?
you did not specifically
I did
say.
use
No,
period.
you didn't.
I
You
did.
said you weren't interested in
Ooh,
historical
no, I did not
shows.
say historical fiction.
Now, you did not mean literally that it was historical, but you did. You didn't say period piece. You would have, if you said period piece, I would have hit you with like a. I rather don't prefer period pieces. But you said
No, but it'd be the
No.
opposite if you're doing that. People who are into period
No, but,
pieces would
but
be...
that's true. But you use the phrase period piece, so you're already in that zone.
Definitely.
But
period.
you said historically.
I did not. I would never say historical
Like-
fiction when talking about. Game of
Have you been
Thrones.
into you into Game of Thrones? But I'm just not. I understand that it had a big influence on our lives, but I don't want to sit through the whole thing. I understand that Daenerys was a complicated woman, but do I really have to watch an entire docu-series?
What can Burns make this thing? It just won't end.
I've never been a big fan of Ken Burns' work. I'm skipping out on Game of Thrones.
At the time, I was much more into the docudrama known as The Walking Dead.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I remember that. Oh, that was almost neurotic. A question from Greg and Sol: what would a savvy troll farm campaign actually look like, and which mad public figure would you get elected to freak out to office to freak out the squares? That's a two-part question, Matt. What would an effective troll campaign actually look like, and what out there person would you elect to public office to freak out the squares?
Right. Let's go with the first thing. You would have to. It would take time to build up different social accounts. They would have to look real, seem real. There'd be a personality behind it. They wouldn't be bots. They wouldn't be accounts that were just made suspiciously enough a month or just a few months out from the election.
Right.
They would have a following. People would believe they know the person behind it. They'd feel like some sort of connection behind there.
Right.
And we sort of did see, in terms of that's organically creating these accounts. That's on that end of the social media campaign spectrum. But on the paid media buying type stuff, the Trump campaign, and now we know there might be a reason why they were so good at it.
Yeah.
Had unbelievable targeting.
Yeah.
They were really
Right.
showing ads to only the people that they had a feeling they could really switch. And because they were so good at targeting, and there was so much interaction with their ads, which lowers your ad cost on sites like Facebook, they were literally getting their ads shown to people for like pennies per 1,000,
Yep.
which is, and when I say pennies, that's even being too much, maybe literally a penny probably per 1,000 people that saw those ads.
I would look.
Which is
I think
insane.
what you're pointing to is true, which is like look to the effectiveness of private sector political consultancies. I mean, it's already out there. You look at J.J. Rendon's work in Latin America for right-wing candidates in Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico. I mean, this stuff has already been pioneered. There's a Colombian hacker who's serving time in Colombia's prisons right now, a Colombian prison right now, because of his admitted role in hacking campaigns and electoral fraud for J.J. Rendon, who's a Miami-based Venezuelan political consultant. So there's a lot of effective campaigns, and what we're actually hearing from a lot of this Russian stuff we've seen so far is the ineffective, the marginal. As far as the crazy person getting elected to office to freak people out,
Michael Brooks.
I have to give you a qualifier. You want to give yourself some big ups there? Go for it. So I have to give a qualifier. I don't actually support this person, and I hope that his electoral success would lead to his downfall. But, and if it was a relatively unimportant office, Louis Farrakhan running an office would be fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, it would be really funny, and it would freak out a lot of the right people. Like just the watch, like the devastation to Barry Weiss alone would be worth it. I would want him to get drummed out of office. I think it would be a great time if he was actually in public office. It'd be an interesting time to sort of investigate the operations of the nation and everything. Totally into that. But if he could just win one race, and response would be extremely funny. Matt, crazy person.
I don't know, crazy person. Gee, I really
Come
don't
on,
know.
you're like into wrestling or some shit. Don't you have like a million people that come to life? What do you want, like Ric Flair to be elected or something?
No, I really wouldn't actually.
What is he, conservative?
A lot of those older guys definitely are. In fact, one of the things he was recently hawking on his website was an official consent form signed by Ric Flair that you would have a woman sign before having sex with her. So I don't know if I want Ric Flair in office.
I've been using. It's great. Could you imagine? Like that should be like the road to like non-consent. Like she's totally into it. You're just like, I have the Ric Flair form. She's like, get the fuck out. Could you imagine?
You know the funny thing?
You hand a Ric Flair consent form to some woman you're about to have sex with.
Well, you should be a big fan of Ric Flair. Actually, he's all over the music videos right now. All the rap and hip hop music.
No, people. He's having a pop culture boomlet right now.
Well, that's because he was like the original. He was the originator of Bling Man. He was
really
styling and profiling. That's why like so many of those rappers in that scene love him so much because
some of those rappers in that scene.
I don't know,
a lot of racial
man.
code words.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
I just play it. Do we have that Bill Maher clip? Oh yeah. Have you been keeping track of Bill Maher at all?
I gotta say,
speaking of people who would have meltdowns,
he's so irrelevant now, man. He's so irrelevant. It's like if we're
he speaks to like this weird demo. Like there's this bizarre demo where it's like the Resistance meets Howard Stern. Like there are these people that have been like because all of that sort of like Hillary pseudo woke MSNBC energy is all like Russia, and like you use the wrong pronoun, that's unacceptable. And Bill Maher is like in this weird like historical vacuum where he's basically just like Russia, Republicans are stupid, okay, and like here's a homophobic joke. Okay, come on, fuck you. It's funny. Right. He literally says fuck you to his audience. It's funny. It's like, dude, The problem with your show recently is that it's actually legit not funny. There was a time when Bill Maher, you'd be like, wow, you're an asshole, but that's funny.
Even
It hasn't been funny.
But I would even say there was even a time way after he was no longer funny, where he still was having relevant people on.
No.
So he was able to keep in the conversation.
Right.
But now, like, he doesn't want any, like, there's too many relevant people now who are onto his bullshit.
Right.
So he doesn't invite them on the show anymore.
Right. So now it's all like, yeah, like I have a new piece in the New York Times about why, like, there was a protest at Oberlin and that means that the Constitution is done. That's exactly what I say, okay?
Like,
college students can't stand other opinions, okay? Oh, fuck you. I date black strippers. I'm cool.
Like, he's had like Barry Weiss on.
No, I
like,
know.
you said- yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah. Who else does he have on that often? Why is she on so often? Because he says something and she nods and says, "Yes, of course. Yes, you're right, Bill." Yeah.
He has a rigorous exchange of ideas. Here he is. Our intern James Grunman put this together. He's talking with Beta O'Rourke, who is
Call him Beta.
Beta, whatever the fuck. Look, I hope he beats
Beto or Beto. No, I
Beto.
can't say it. Beto.
Beto.
It's a nickname for like Roberto or something, or Robert or some shit.
Beta O'Rourke. Beta Cuck O'Rourke. No, he's a Senate candidate. He's taking on Ted Cruz. Here he is with Bill Maher. I wish him nothing but luck in his campaign, misdiagnosing how to move forward.
Voting for. It's going to be the people of Texas
So
every single time.
What would you say are your top three, if you had to say your top three most important issues facing this country?
Yeah.
What are yours?
Too many people can't find a job or are in a job right now that does not pay a living wage. And they need the dignity and the function and purpose that comes
Number one is
with
jobs?
work. Number two, if you're not healthy enough to go to that job or finish your education or raise your family, you're not doing yourself any good. You're not doing the rest of us any good. So universal health care, the ability for everyone to see a doctor regardless of income.
So you're for
This is
single
good.
payer?
If that's how we get there, that's how we get there. I'm open to...
Whoa, that's a big if, Congressman. If that's how we get, that's a big issue to go, well,
Listen,
if we get there, that
I think Medicare works really well. Its overhead cost is 2%. You compare that against private insurance companies, 16, 17%. It's effective. It's efficient. I think that's a great model.
So you're where Bernie Sanders is with health care?
Yeah, I think he's got a good plan, and I would support his bill in the Senate. I think that bill makes a lot of sense. And I'll tell you another issue where Texas, I think, is uniquely positioned to lead. We are the most diverse state in the country. I'd like to think we are the defining immigrant experience. The city I represent, El Paso, Texas, is one of, if not the safest cities in America. And a quarter of those that I represent were born in another country. They chose us. They're making us stronger, safer, more secure. We should be the ones leading the fight for immigration reform, rewriting immigration law in our own image, from our own traditions and values and interests. Ted Cruz was the sole senator out of 98 who showed up to work that day a month ago, the sole senator to vote no on just proceeding on debate and discussion to be able to protect dreamers and allow those more than 1 million of our fellow Americans to contribute to their full potential, to the success of this country. We need a senator who leads on those issues.
Okay, so jobs is your one, health care is your two. What was your three?
Immigration.
Immigration, wow. So Russia and the environment, they don't make the top three.
Russia and the environment are really important. I mean, here's another one.
4 or 5?
Yeah, there you go. Here's one where Texas can lead.
No, so basically, like Beto O'Rourke is great there. And that is what people are concerned about in his constituency. Now, obviously, the environment is fundamental. But the way Bill Maher talks about it is it's like a concern of elites, like carbon offsets for private jets and organic weed. And then this Russia thing.
And
there's nobody who's going to turn out for a off presidential election year to get health care and secure their family who gives a fuck about the endless machinations of this Russia thing. It's delusional.
Right. No, I completely agree. And, the thing with the environment is I could see that coming from people. The Russia thing obviously is bullshit. I agree with you there. But I could see the environment thing coming from people like, oh yeah, why isn't the environment? Well, I mean, how can you take the time to care about the environment if you can't afford to live the very next day?
Right.
Like it's something that comes that you should care about, obviously. But if you can't get health care, if you can't get work, or you're not getting paid a fair wage, and if your family's being torn apart because of the immigration
ICE,
situation
yeah.
here. How can you put the environment anywhere higher on the list?
But that being said, I mean, even that issue is reflective of how people like Bill Maher have distorted it, right?
Right, right.
Like environment is a class and race issue like anything else.
Right.
If people thought of the environment in terms of public health and disparate health outcomes,
Right,
and
right,
you know,
right.
and where toxic waste dumps are built as an example, then that would be a front and center issue. People like that have made it, you know, a bougie hybrid car issue and harmed it. Let's see, question. During an event with Mandela, the arch-conservative premier of Ontario was drowned out by boos of school-age kids of all types. There were multiple teacher strikes. Mandela was visibly annoyed. Is openly disrespecting politicians or was Mandela right? I mean, look, Nelson Mandela put a very high premium on public decorum and respect. That was both how he, you know, beat people that imprisoned him for over 30 years and out-strategized them, and also his background. I mean, Nelson Mandela has a royal background, literally. And when he first toured the globe after he was released from prison, he honored George H.W. Bush, and he honored Castro, and he honored Gaddafi. He honored every single regime and person that supported the anti-apartheid struggle. And that was his tradition and style. So, I mean, I might view it differently, but I certainly do not hold that against him.
Is that an Antifa critique?
Yeah, I don't know.
George H.W. Bush, Castro, and Gaddafi.
Gaddafi.
The three genders.
That's good. I like that. George, question from Boxian. What's the current situation with South African land appropriation? I've talked about scenarios with various Americans, and they all posit that they would participate in a armed revolution if something similar were to happen with reparations in the U.S. Wow, well, people are crazy. I mean, look, land redistribution needs to happen in South Africa. It needs to. It's in the South African Constitution, in the Rainbow Democracy Constitution. It's not, in fact, this notion that they're passing new laws to make this possible is not right. It's provided for from 1994 onwards. Obviously, the question of how you do it and how efficient it is and whether, you know, the delivery matters, and pretending it doesn't matter is wrong. But the fundamental proposition that you need to do that in order to achieve policy outcomes in South Africa as far as inequality, racial concentration of capital, and addressing like contemporary historical injustices is delusional. And, you know, the racial panic that cues into, and the fact that that's become a right-wing talking point here is something that we're certainly going to cover more. But it's absolutely necessary. And there's no serious person that would question some form of land redistribution in South Africa is absolutely necessary. I know Matt views it differently, but I just...
That's one of the areas where I'll leave it to Michael. It's his expertise, not mine.
This is a question from Kenny. Oh, my God. Did Matt catch the Sargon of Akkad debate with Jason Unruh on communism?
I did not, and I gotta say,
do you know who this fucking Jason Unruh guy is? Who the fuck is he?
I'm not too familiar with him. I know he's that guy with the mohawk, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with him.
He says he's like some type of like neckbeard shut-in for like pretend Maoists or something.
Yeah, I have no idea. I really know who he is.
Yeah.
But Sargon used to be obsessed with me. If you look up Sargon, you'll find like 3 like
Carl of Swindon.
Yeah.
As we call him.
He's got like 3 or 4 videos, each like 20, 30, 40 minutes long, literally on me.
I used to share all those videos under fake accounts.
He was obsessed with me for a while.
He'd be like, and those videos are great because it would always be like it was back both when we were like really green. We've gotten a little bit more seasoned at this. And we both had our ticks, and Matt would just be like, well, it's ridiculous. This is sexism. It's a Anita Sarkeesian. And then he'd be stopped, and he'd be like, okay, this is not sexism. Just because I want to spend 15 hours a day killing hookers does not mean that I don't want women to be able to show their titties. Like, he was so fucking stupid that he would draw analogies. Like that guy is so limited intellectually that his justifications were terrible.
You had a debate with him, right?
Oh my God! Yes,
Right. Yeah.
that was I
The
would
thing
have
that-
handled some things differently, but that was like one of the most torturous experiences in my life.
You
And the
can't
fact that people thought it was like, dude, like I was rude to him. If we're debates are stupid and overrated to begin with, but like I won that debate.
I love debates.
Partially because
talking about.
like the dude couldn't even provide a definition from it. He literally spent 40 minutes being like, have you heard of Sharia? Yes.
She's
Can
a
you
good friend of
explain to
mine.
me how? Yeah. So, yo, goddamn, I know Sharia. What's up? Is that black culture? Like I've never seen it.
Listen,
Is he like fully Nazi now, or is he still?
No,
doing
he's
his-
one of those guys. He's always been like this.
Yeah.
These are the worst. Listen, if you're gonna be a Nazi, if you're gonna be a white supremacist, if you're gonna be an alt right or a far right winger, just own it, man. Just at least have the self-respect, the dignity to just own it and be like, I'm a Nazi. Get that swastika tattoo on your chest and just own it. You know.
Are we kidding this for the soundboard?
But he's one of those annoying fucking people, like a Dave Rubin, who claims, I'm not a right winger. In fact, I'm actually quite liberal. It's the liberals who've
He
changed.
was the original hustle like that, wasn't he?
It's the
Yeah.
liberals who've changed. I'm actually a real liberal. Everyone else has gone insane on the left, and I just happen to have every single right winger on this show, and I agree with all of them. But I'm not a right winger. He's one of those fuckers.
Right.
I hate those type. They bother me so much. Just own it, man.
By the way, I do think, if I had to pick, I do think that is what Matt, like, I don't think you would be a Cernovich. I think you would be.
Is it my physique that throws you off?
No. It's also, you're just, well, yes, partially, but it's also just you'd be an InfoWars correspondent. And I think
Oh, I'd be Prison Paul. Absolutely,
Yeah,
I'd be
right.
Prison Paul.
And I think Matt Leck would be Sargon-ish, actually. Like I think because I've been thinking about it, the debt thing just not going to get the clicks. Man.
Well, I just came up with that because we were talking about that off air.
It's just not going to get the clicks. Matt would be like, okay, slow down the video. This is another logical fallacy.
Yeah, actually, I'd be logical fallacy.
Yeah,
hunter.
you'd be Mr. Logical, like the type of people you just want to
Ad
throw off a
hominem.
bridge. Yeah, just like, hey, you want to know an ad hominem? I'll kill you and your
Strawman
entire
fallacy.
family.
I'd have like drops
Yeah.
for every one of the fallacies.
Yeah, it's just like, oh,
Logic and reason.
Ad hom.
ad hom. I want that, except I want it actually. I would be like, now we're talking about Jordan Peterson. Ad hom. I'm going to try the phones one more time, but I think there is a problem in the system. So, 478, are you there? No.
Hail and well met, comrade. It is so good to finally hear your voice. I'm pleased to be the show's premier Southern pseudo-revolutionary, Jeff in Georgia.
How are you, brother?
I'm actually, Michael, to be honest with you, I'm a little down, man, because I'm going to take the show full circle here. So, Michael, I appreciate the fact that despite writing the sum total of 0 speeches for any neoconservative shitbags to read, you nonetheless allowed me to appear on your program.
Of course I do.
And speaking of neoconservative shitbags, as you know, Michael, I'm the chairman of a venerable organization known as the League of Extraordinarily Progressive Southern Gentlemen, and it has not escaped our notice that it is fashionable in some circles to embrace the honeyed yet poisoned words of one David Frum. Hell, even to engage in public conversation with him in this new age of presidential buffoonery. And there's been some loose talk in some corners of the left, certain that any public interview or conversation with David Frum is, by necessity, either counterproductive or a waste of time. And, Michael, we couldn't disagree more with that. Michael, with your permission, I possess here a brief list of questions that, hypothetically, we down here would very much like to hear asked of David Frum in a public setting.
Yes, go ahead.
And with your permission, in a TMBS exclusive, I'm going to share them with you and your audience.
Indeed. Go ahead. TMBS exclusive. Go ahead.
Number 1, how dare you? Number 2,
I like it.
would you prefer to be punched in the nose or in the kidney? Number 3, which option do you feel would be a more just outcome for yourself? Summary execution or forced labor, and why? Number 4.
I like. By the way, I just have to
did
say,
you-
I'm sorry. Go in a second. I really like and why. That really, you can tell like a joke is punched up there with the and why.
Right.
Go ahead.
I always bring the best for you, sir. Number 4. How lame do you, David Frum, have to be to chide participants of the Women's March that they didn't sing the Star Spangled Banner enough?
Did he
Number
actually
5,
say that? Are
have
you fucking
developed
kidding
any
me?
strategies or totems, tonics, relics, spells, or any other psychic methods for warding away the ghosts of people across the world whose blood lies upon your hands? Number 6, how vulnerable is your windpipe? Could one bruise it with a semi-amateur karate chop, or would one need some sort of blunt instrument?
I'm going to guess
And,
the karate chop.
Finally, Michael, the last question we have for you
Yes.
is one we'd like to see asked David Frum in a public forum. That should be from a judicial official in a human rights court, and that would be, how do you plead, bitch? Yeah!
I think you just outlined the perfect David Frum interview, buddy. Perfect. He's off, too. He fucking nailed it. All right,
He
let's see.
sounds like one of those liberals who wishes Mrs. George Bush.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Don't you miss me because I wasn't overtly racist? You're calling from a 575 area code. Are you there? Are we good to go? Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It's okay. I think that guy might be doing it on purpose. 708, are you there?
Hello, Michael.
Yeah.
Hi. This is Zach, Dragon Slayer the 19th, more commonly known as Dragon Slayer 19, Dragon Emoji, Credit Emoji, on the Discord, calling from the Chicagoland area.
How are you, brother? What's going on?
Pretty good.
I just have to tell you really quickly. Sorry, really quickly before you get to it. David Grisham is really pissed about your Discord name. He says that he is the exclusive Dragon Slayer, and he's been calling himself Dragon Slayer since he was 10, and it really hurts his feelings, and he'd like to talk with you about it. David?
Okay, well, I can address that in my second point.
Okay, great.
But first off,
okay, go ahead.
First off, I have a quick ad for the Discord.
Yeah, go for it.
If you allow me. Okay, so have you ever wondered at work that, like, while you're bored with Facebook, YouTube, or Reddit, have you ever wondered how Michael Brooks acts in a more personal yet still impersonal setting, like a text-based app?
Yet still impersonal.
Have you
setting.
ever wondered such questions like, what is red? Do dogs have hands? And are hot dog sandwiches? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then please join the TMBS Discord. It is for you. For the simple price of the fact that you're already paying for it, you can join the Discord and participate in our 24/7 discussions, from live action on the show like that's happening right now, news, both international and domestic, and funny pictures of animals, because we need something to keep us sane in this hellscape that is Trump land.
That's a great ad. We'll do it on the front half next week. What's the second point?
And for the second point, you guys can choose. I was either thinking of having a good question to spawn discussion with old Matt, or we could address the fact that many people do have questions over the Dragon Slayer history, whether or not it's Dragon's Lair or Dragon's Slayer, whether or not there is in fact a
I'm going to go with the Binder question. And you have driven me. I would normally never go in that direction, but Jesus Christ. Okay, what's the Binder question? Yeah.
Okay, so the Binder question is, so since you were previously a part of MR, and now you're doing your own podcast, are there any lessons you learned from MR? Any choices that you're making differently, and any embarrassing stories you have of Michael? And I'll take it off air.
Do you have any meltdown? Do you do meltdowns in show prep like Sam?
No. Yeah.
It'd be cool if you did that. Do you do that? You know, I don't do that to these guys. I haven't exercised my freak out ability yet to be like, God damn it, I'm prepping. Hello.
I have no one to have a meltdown to. I'm a one man band.
You could yell at your family.
I could yell. Well,
yeah.
what are you talking about? We actually make sure they're out of the house before I start recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
don't get in your kid's face and go, "You're doomed." And remember, if you go too brutal here on this story thing, I will drop the impression.
I have so many stories, but off the top of my head now,
let's watch it.
I would need some time to think, but one that'll always be right there on the tip of the old noggin here is that time where Michael was running late, and I think
weird. That never happens.
I think I told. This
I don't
one
think at this time. I think
before.
at this point, like late is just my time.
Oh, I think I dropped this one actually in the Discord once. I told the story.
What did I do?
You were running late once,
right.
And Sam. This particular time,
he's late. God damn it!
Sam
Hello.
Can I tell you something? The really funny thing was Sam would always get mad at you for being late, but I was always usually just as late. So
no, Sam had a lot more rage at me because he
Right.
He was like there was a certain like simian sort of recognition or something. It was weird. Yeah.
So Michael was running late this time. So Sam decided to get up off the seat, go around, and lock the door.
Right.
And we waited for Michael to show up. Mind you, the show is about to start. So instead of prepping for the show, continuing to prep for the show, Sam decided...
this is more of an embarrassing story of Sam.
But there is
his like tragic flaw.
There is a great photo out there somewhere of Michael knocks on the door. We don't answer it. Michael, I guess, is catching on to what's going on here.
Right.
And so there's a great photo through the door's peephole
of me just rolling my eyes
of Michael like leaning against the wall, like sort of huffing and puffing, just like sort of like can't believe. So that's a fun story. But no, there's a lot of. What I would have to probably do is sit down one day, write down a list of my favorites, and then just figure out which ones I can't say on air because there's definitely a few popping in my.
Tell about it, fair play. Telling about it, fair play. You're calling from a 330 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Michael, it's Ryan from Ohio.
Hey, Ryan, what's going on? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you got to promise not to be mad at me when I say this.
Yeah.
Because I think I know what kind of right-winger you would be.
Sure.
Okay, you could put on the blazer. And you're always doing the voices and everything, so you could talk real fast.
Right.
And maybe you could pull off the whole pedantic little twerp.
I could do a Shapiro. Wow. That is, I am mad at you. I don't think so, actually.
Well,
Shapiro, I honestly think that only Ben Shapiro could be Shapiro. I cannot picture anybody else
Facts
doing
don't
that.
care about your feelings.
Yeah, I can't do that, actually. I can barely even do an impression of him.
Well, maybe I was wrong.
What else? What else you got?
I got nothing.
Greg, call. Okay.
That's my type of caller.
Oh,
Thank you for calling.
I can't try you anymore. 575. I'm sorry.
Give him one more shot. Let's do it. Let's do it.
One more shot. One more shot. 575. You there?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on, man? What happened before?
No, every single time you guys drop me.
You didn't say anything, buddy. All right, go ahead. What's on your mind?
This is Mandela again from New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I was calling in. I had a couple of serious things to call in about, but fuck it again this week. Because last week I called in and you guys had a really good segment and that was really cool. But anyway, fuck that. Just really cool to call in and just make sure that, y'all won't put down my call next week because I will call in with actual points and everything. But
okay.
But yeah, I'm sorry about this week because
No, dude, gets it. You got a point. Do you have any point? Do you have any point? Do you have any point, buddy? Or wait till next week.
Actually, yeah. I just did, on the Peterson type shit. I would say, if I was a white dude,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in college, because when I was in college, everybody had their girlfriend break up with them and everything.
But to me, I agree with you.
Speak for yourself.
This dude, Jordan Peterson, is a hustler.
Right.
He's just talking to people about, the bullshit part of their lives.
Right.
And we can't allow, people to use those parts of, those dark parts of an individual's lives,
right,
or
right,
of an individual's life, to kind of like build up right-wing bullshit, right? Because that really is bullshit. That's the darkest, that's kind of bringing up a lot of the darkest frameworks of people's, perception of themselves. Like when a girl breaks up with you
right,
for certain things you feel like are, like making certain, jibes at your, at your innermost self.
I think that's totally true, and I think that's why he has that traction. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
I gotta say, that would be a great premise for prank calls on right wingers. Call into their show and be like, "Listen, Mr. Shapiro, I have some great ideas to share with you. I'll get you next time."
That would be really funny.
Wait for my call next week.
I have brilliant fucking content. See you in a week. You're calling from this is the final call tonight. You're calling from a 612 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
This is Eric from Minnesota.
Hey, what's going on,
might be a little
man?
better known as Cuck Todd.
This is the
Cuck Todd.
Oh man,
he's a fucking genius.
Let me just tell you what a pleasure. I feel like I'm in the midst of greatness right here.
Speaking of which, where's your wife right now?
I gotta tell you guys the pleasure. What's that?
I'm sorry. All right, no, go ahead, Cuck Todd.
I gotta say the pleasure is all my wife's.
I love how I said we're pretty balanced in terms of our calls, and tonight is all men and ends with, "This is Cuck Todd." I got some fuck my wife jokes. Okay, the pleasure's all your wife. Go ahead.
But you guys are talking about Jordan Peterson, whatever, and his dumb fucking book. And I was traveling like a week and a half ago, and I was on a plane to Seattle, and there was some like late adolescent kid, barely adult, reading his book and looking pretty awkwardly at like a somewhat attractive lady next to him, and it was pretty pathetic and sad. And that summarizes Jordan Peterson.
Yep.
I think
you just hit the essence. Yes.
Yeah, and that's all I got. Unless you want some Ken Langone. I don't know. Yeah.
Throw me a little Ken Langone.
I'm not sure. Music to get high. All right, guys.
All right, brother.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
the call. Yeah. Thank you. All right, let's race through the IMs and then.
Oh, we didn't even get to the troll farms.
We didn't even get to the troll farms. Well, next time I'll come back. I'll go on Doomed again in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
We'll hack it out.
All right.
Congressional baseball fan. The FBI comes to question Carson. He points at his wife and says, "I believe you want her." Wait, can you give me a little Big Sean? I just wanted to just do a little Ben Carson here about Candy. Basically today.
No, I saw.
Did you see Ben Carson?
Ben Carson threw his wife under the bus.
It's like, I don't know, Candy. She's a very gregarious person. A lot of retards are. We were like, I don't fuck with Candy. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck with her. She dresses like a bag and still wants $31,000 on dining wear. So I don't fuck with Candy. I marry her even though she's developmentally disabled. Trying to make this motherfucking supplement money. Cut off public housing. Don't interrupt my flow. Shut the fuck up. I don't fuck with Candy. Dressing like bags, making me sit in front of a congressional testimony when I'm trying to make this motherfucking cash. I don't fuck with Candy. Stupid ass bitch. All right, peace. I'm out. What are you gonna say?
I love the different excuses they've gone with over time about this $31,000 dining table.
I know.
At first it was like, oh, it was just some low level.
The best was when he said, he's like, she first asked, could we get it used? And apparently you couldn't. It's almost just like, hey, can we get this used? Nope. And then she was like, can we get the $31,000 one?
Well, I like.
It's like, hey, can we get the used one? No, that won't work. All right, you know what? Then fuck it. We should get the Jaguar.
I liked when John Kelly went out there and said how, you know, 31,000 dining room table. They got it because it was going to last 80 years. As if.
John Kelly comes in. He's like, look, first of all, we all know fucking blacks love their dining wear. If you ever go to like a ghetto and watch a rap video, like, you know that. If it was up to me, we'd deport them from the country, but because of liberals, we're not. So we're going to need to deal with them having dining wear. And we need to be realistic. Oh, before we get to the IMs, we do have a message from Right Wing Mandela that I forgot we do have to get to. This is an important new ad. Apparently, Right Wing Mandela, I could give you a hint. I'll tease on a couple things. He is one of the first two animations we're doing, the other being Nation of Islam Obama. Right Wing Mandela is like at the center of the pulse of right-wing politics, and he's been deep in Trump land. His next move might actually be the claps of respect for the individual. Ha ha ha. So he might have a crying self-help turn. But this is a new ad. What is this place? What is the real name of this, Matt?
It's a new sort of I don't know if you want to call it a political action thing. It's sort of like a turning point, but it's called This Is Capitalism, and it tries to rebrand capitalism for millennials.
This is another desperate attempt to package the poison that has destroyed many millennials' lives, known as capitalism. It's a propaganda effort. This is a real ad, but we're going to have Mandela do the voiceover for patrons' pleasure. Capitalism for the greater good. How millennials are changing the narrative. Some of the greatest economic minds in the world have understood the connection between free market and prosperity for all. All? Why are we talking about for all? What about for the winners and not the fucking losers? As Martin Whitaker, CEO of Just Capital, noted in an interview with the World Economic Forum, capitalism creates opportunity for everyone, expanding healthy competition and improving society. What is all this gay shit? Did Ronald Reagan have to talk about giving black people houses when he was a GE spokesperson? In a Deloitte Millennial Survey 2017, this is going too fast for me. They want and indeed expect companies to support and work for a social impact. Social impact, that's like communism, which is the opposite of how lobsters work, and we'll all end up in a gulag. They don't want companies to focus solely on profit. How much am I getting paid to read this gay shit?
That goes a bit too fast.
Yeah, but basically, yes, this is a new effort to pretend that's capitalism, which is really interesting. I mean, you could tell the brand pressure here. That they have to be like, we just are working in private equity to try to deliver people better results as a community.
Gotta say the production value here, very cheap.
Yeah, you know what the kids love is piano music and Getty Images.
Stock video
and quotes from financial leaders.
Incidentally, this is
like boilerplate, fake, like social responsibility copy on websites.
This is by Stevens Inc., an Arkansas-based financial advisory firm that in 1970 helped take Walmart public.
That's the type of real social impact that we're looking for as millennials. Thank you. Bullprog, on the anniversary, remember to get involved in your caucuses and primaries so we elect people with principles and not those who we think it's appropriate to use war as a leverage tool against non-imminent or non-existent threats because they are treated nicely by other bad leaders and grew up trusting their decision-making. I can't play that link, but I know Hillary did defend her vote, and she's ridiculous. Okay, there's a big delay in the phone line from listening on the live stream. Dostoevsky in the sheets. Jordan Peterson's book is a repackaging of Guerrilla Mindset as a lobster-centric tome. Rand Paul's Southern Neighbor. Rand Paul's neighbor. I considered becoming a fake conservative a few years ago, and I would have all kinds of conservative, depending on the day, whatever sells supplements. Oh, and Grisham, I had a run with David Horowitz, and he showed up at my bookstore at 8 p.m. and I told him we didn't open till when he showed up at my bookstore at 8 a.m. and I told him we didn't open till 10 p.m. and he had a fit. Michael, you're young. You don't get to dissolve hookers in bathtubs of acid right away. You have to build to it. Do you think a young Baden saw himself at 60 in Florida shack coming down off of a 3-week meth binge with a hooker dissolving in a bathtub and his third wife in the kitchen yelling, "Who ate all of the goddamn Wheaties?"
Did you see this? I hate to interrupt, but did you see this in the Washington Post? This came out apparently 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
You know how Trump congratulated Putin on his big electoral victory?
Great. You did a great job.
Apparently, Washington Post reporting that in his briefing materials, in all capital letters, it said, "Do not congratulate."
Wait, what is it? Opposite day? Ooh, sorry. Oh my God, it's opposite day.
He didn't read it.
You know, I just want to watch Sarah Huckabee get asked uncomfortable questions. People say I'm not pro women's rights. Meanwhile, she's a 1. She's a 1. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I'm going to do this really quickly because this is a special caller, but this is the final call, and then we're really out of here. But this is a special call with a special request to talk to Binder.
Oh.
So I just made that up.
Thank you for calling in the Majority Report.
No, it's true.
The host will be with you shortly.
A little behind-the-scenes action here. All right. You are calling from a 509 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. How are you, brother?
Good. I wanted to talk directly to Matt Bender.
Yep.
I'm here.
He's here.
I'm ready for it.
All right. So I used to be mean-spirited. And I used to make fun of you via the IM and my calls.
I honestly
and I feel bad about it, genuinely. Shit. Well, I shouldn't have said anything.
But go ahead. I'll
anyways,
take it anyway.
I do want to say, so I want to say I appreciate what you're doing. I have this thing where I resist having to learn about these terrible people for as long as I can, which is why I think back in the day, I resented the sort of like the men's rights thing because I thought it was unimportant. I just was in denial about the world, I guess.
Right.
And actually, the clip you just played of Jordan Peterson was the one where he was crying.
Yep.
That's the first time I've ever listened to his voice. And what an introduction.
That's powerful.
But just in general, like, there's all these names of people like Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin. I actually don't know who these people are.
That's so awesome.
I'm waiting as long as I can to have to learn about them. But anyways, I'm rarely sincere on this show. I like to make jokes, but I do want to say I'm sorry if I ever said anything mean.
No.
Not if.
That's you it. Did. You
No.
did.
Thanks for.
You said plenty of mean stuff.
Thanks for taking my call.
See, unlike Michael, I can dish it and take it.
Oh, very graceless coming in on the wire, man.
You're a little softy sometimes, Michael.
Oh yeah, of course I am. I'm very sensitive. I'm an artist. Staten Island Mike. You know how the screenwriter for Die Hard 2 got a visit from the FBI because his script had given too good advice on how to rob a bank? Who do you think old Matt's effective troll farm advice is going to earn him a visit from? Louise Mensch or Eric Garland? It's an interesting question.
I would love to sit down with either of those people and just pick their mind. See whatever's in there. Whatever's in there.
Their minds, such as they are.
I want to really, like, they're too real. I can't even think of words to say right now. First of all, I did a video on Louise Mensch last summer, and I received some people who contacted me and was like, oh, you must be. I actually did get sincere messages from people saying, yes, I either was a Russian or I'm falling for Russian propaganda. And with Eric Garland, listen, Eric Garland, though, remember when he actually had liberals? What did someone say?
Someone said it was the modern day Federalist Papers. That is one of the most embarrassing things.
Yeah,
that was
Farenthold from
Clara Jeffrey from Mother Jones actually.
And
said
then what the Farenthold who was breaking all the Trump stories for New York Times also one of
just because you can investigate stuff doesn't mean you can do analysis.
He's like, this is amazing.
There was nothing good
he
about it.
Literally wrote like, let me introduce you to game theory.
Right.
Now here's a thread that posits a weird Homeland style knockoff script of modern American history, and all the liberals were like,
right.
That's it.
One of my favorite Eric Garland things was at the end of 2017 when different publications put out their their end of year lists, and a whole bunch of like sites put out end of year lists that included like Eric Garland, like craziest moments on Twitter or most insane people online or whatever, and he thought it was really weird that all these end of 2017 lists were coming out at the same time.
That's pretty
and
fucking
it must
weird.
be some sort of propaganda effort to attack him.
I'm not making a joke directly related to him at all, but Adderall is a hell of a drug. Just apropos of nothing. Kermit Tears started a weekly competition with friends to see whose Facebook ad can get the most clicks through to volunteer for Beto. Good strategy to get your friends involved. That's a great idea. I'm sorry I cannot get to all IMs. The final IM of
find any IM that mentions me. Those are the important ones.
Cats Warfare. This is for you.
There we go.
The lobster mindset.
There we go.
Boom.
Wow.
Thank you, patrons. Appreciate all of you so much. Illicit History with Mike Hanna on Israel-Palestine coming out this Sunday. Please keep spreading the word. Thank you, Matt Binder. Thank you, super producer Matt Leck.
Thank you for having me.
Head theoretician David Grisham, super producer David Slavic. See you next week with Noah Changa and Alana Minkowski. And, of course, Sunday, and, of course, on the Discord. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.